So hello everyone. In this session, we will find the absolute value of any given number without the usage of branch instruction in the main logic. So how can we find the absolute value of any given number without using branch instruction? We can do that by obtaining 2's complement of the given number. See, 2's complement will always change the sign of any given number. If you consider a number plus 10, if you perform 2's complement on it, you will get the answer minus 10. At the same time, if you take a number minus 10, it will give the output as plus 10. But in our case, we don't want any modification to be happening if the input is a positive number. But if it's a negative number, we want it to be converted to a positive number. If you see here, again we have used pseudo instruction to load the value minus 10 into register R0. But the first task we are doing is performing arithmetic shift operation. Why do you think we are doing this? That we are performing arithmetic shift right 31 times. For any given data, in our case, the value we have taken is minus 10, which is nothing but this particular value in hexadecimal. So in binary, we obtain something like, what will happen if I perform arithmetic shift right? Right shift, so the content should be shifted this side, correct? By 31 times. And it is arithmetic shift right, it means every time you shift the content and the data here is lost, the vacant position created will be filled with MSB bit. What is the MSB bit here? It is 1. Okay, so this particular task which I have performed once here will be performed 31 times. So what will happen? All this content will be shifted out, and because of which the only content remaining in this particular register R1 is nothing but ones. Now what is this value? This is nothing but all F. If you want decimal value of this, it is nothing but minus 1. This is the first task I am performing. But what if I had taken a plus 10 value here? If it was plus 10, then the value in R0 would be 1010. Okay, so when you perform arithmetic shift, since all higher positions are 0 here, the result stored in R1 would be all zeros. Okay, so in this particular step, there are only two answers you can get for R1. Either it is 0, that is the case for a positive number, okay, or it can be negative 1 or minus 1, that is the case for all negative numbers. Now let's see what's happening here. We are performing XOR operation. Now the data we have is minus 10, whose hexadecimal value is something like this. We are performing XOR between this and R1. What is R1? R1 in this particular case will be minus 1. And how will we write minus 1? And we are performing XOR. One thing we know about XOR is if same data is present, output is 0. So this is anyway 0. What happens between 6 and F? 6 is 0, 1, 1, 0 and F is 1, 1, 1, 1. Complementary inputs will get output as 1. So this is 1, 0, 0, 1, which is nothing but 9. Okay, so this is the result stored in R2. What do you think is actually happening here? We are performing 1's complement using XOR operation. And next to that, what exactly are we doing? We know here the result we obtained is 9, that is plus 9. We are performing subtraction between R2 and R1. R2 is 9 minus what is R1? R1 is actually minus 1. So the result will be nothing but 9 plus 1, which is 10. So this result plus 10 will be stored in register R2 now. Okay, and then we have this stop be stop, which is an infinite loop. Fine. So how did we accomplish this particular task? The thing that we are doing here is this is used to perform 1's complement, and this will perform addition of plus 1 to the given 1's complement result. So totally we are performing 2's complement on the given data so that we can obtain its absolute value. So we are not using any branch or conditional code in this particular logic to obtain the absolute value of the given data. Instead of -10, if it was +10, we know 0 would be the answer obtained here. But what would happen in case of XOR? When you XOR any given data, that is 1 0 1 0, let me take all higher values as 0 here. When you XOR this content with 0, what will happen? You will get the original content itself. Okay, so R2 here would be 10. See, 1010 is the binary format of the decimal number 10. Okay, and what would happen in this particular subtraction? See, if I consider R2 in decimal, it is 10 itself. R1, what is the value? It is 0. So 10 minus 0 would be 10 itself. So there would be no change in the output. What are these? These are nothing but assembler directives. Area defines a section of memory to store this information, which is an instruction. Hence, the property here is set to be code. And next we have absolute value as the name given to this section of memory, and read only because we don't want any modification to be happening in this particular code during runtime. Entry indicates where exactly execution starts, that is the very first label after entry is a location where execution actually starts, and end indicates the end of source file. Okay, so now let's go ahead and execute this code. First, let's see if there are errors. There are no errors, so we'll go ahead with debugging. Okay, we have loaded our value -10 into register R0. We are performing arithmetic shift right, so the result we obtain is -1, which in hexadecimal is all F. Now we are performing XOR, which results in the value 9. And then 9 minus of -1 is nothing but 10. And thus we have reached the infinite loop. Now, if I change this to +10, what will happen? Again, no errors here. So we'll go ahead, load the value, which is A here. The result of arithmetic shift right is 0. Okay. XOR result will be A, which is 10, and then subtraction will generate the same answer. And again we reach the infinite loop. Okay, so we have accomplished obtaining absolute value of any given number without using branch or conditional code.